This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Totally, yes.
It's an absolute riot, and the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time.
What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out of touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
It's Wednesday Addams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday, Season 2, begins August 6th, only on Netflix.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes, teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
I love it. Hold on. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, Murder Chronicles Nation. Welcome back to another bonus episode. Carolyn is absolutely radiant today because it's not raining in the Pacific Northwest.
It is so beautiful. And it's been Murder Chronicles Nation. You will be on my side with this because Brandon's always like, oh, beautiful LA is so amazing. And I'm wearing like a black turtleneck. And today it is so beautiful in Seattle. It is blue skies. It is like 75.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anyway, I'm very, very excited. I'm actually
one of 4 days in the calendar year that you get this type of weather. Enjoy it.
What's crazy is that climate change is like, not to be doom and gloom, but it really has changed our weather a lot, you know?
In Seattle, you mean specifically?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you've recognized it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Remember when you were giving me shit about the air conditioner episode where I was said, and we don't have air conditioning, and you were just like so repulsed and disgusted. But it's like, we're just not used to that up here. It was like, there's things about Seattle where it's like, we don't carry umbrellas. If you're like a true blue or you're not carrying umbrella. You're
We'll just get wet. Umbrellas are for wimps.
You have your REI Gore-Tex jacket, you hooded, you're ready to go. I mean, there's just things that we do, right?
Yeah.
And having AC, you would just freaking power through it. And now it's like, you know, there'd be like a couple of nights where you're just like,
Right.
like for the most part, it's just not, you know, it's
I hear it. That's like Los Angelinos sleeping through any earthquake that's less than a 4.0, right? It was like, roll back over. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, that makes sense. All right, so let's talk about Suitcase.
Yeah.
So this episode, I really enjoyed the second half of it where it was just all the interview room. Like that was really cool. All right, but we'll get to that in a little while. But this was also a much more recent case than you normally do. Normally, like you go back to the good old days, right? To the 80s. When maybe you were when maybe you were
go back to the 80s.
When maybe you were pedaling by the crime scene with like teased hair and neon knee socks or something like that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, baby. You got me.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. So this was interesting, you know, pandemic stuff. I hadn't heard about these this app where you get the random coordinates. What's the app called?
Randonauts.
Randonauts, right. That's strange because I was thinking about like, you know, always kind of I'm kind of a dark guy sometimes, and you think about like the criminal uses for something like that. Like if you wanted to just like get a bunch of people to like to show up somewhere and rob them, like, hey, here's a cool app, go show up to this place and have fun. You're like, and you're waiting for it.
That was freaking dark. Remind me
Right?
not to meet you for coffee.
But it's weird. I just think like a parent, like if my daughters came in and said, hey dad, there's this app and it just spits out random coordinates and you go there, I'd be like, how random are these coordinates? Is it like some dude's house who's hoping that someone's just going to fall for it? You know,
like, wait, I know. Plant that like really horrible seed in my head.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. Yeah, I get it.
Well, when this came out, as I was doing a little bit more reading on it, like people thought it was really weird that the coordinates would go right to that case. And I didn't realize that they went to the case. I think that they're still up in the air about if that actually was true or not. But people are like, "What? How did this give you coordinates to a case like this?" And I guess there were other coordinates that were given that were kind of weird too. So there was a kind of this whole spiral, like armchair detective kind of thing that I didn't even.
Like, is the company like headquartered in Seattle? It was just like some dude walking around say, "Hey, there's a suitcase," not knowing that what the fuck is in it, and goes,
"Oh, I think it's like, you know, the whole like AI is infecting our brains, and there's somebody that, you know, just that whole kind of like weird thing. Like, how would they know? How would they know this? But it's like obviously some weird algorithm, and like who knows? Like, I believe that it was just random. You know, I think that it just randomly.
Of course, yeah. So do I. But it was interesting hearing the TikTok my kids are making. They're not allowed on TikTok. But they make a lot of their friends are on TikTok. And so they're in like the videos, like the dance videos and shit like that. And so these kids making a freaking TikTok video in front of a suitcase stuffed with a dead body. Like that's a sign of the times, huh? How weird is that?
Oh my God. You know, I think that for me, the part that didn't feel like it was a sign of the times, but just that whimsy and that adventure. It's like geocaching. Like, I don't know if you ever did that with kids where you're just like, let's go. And I love that spirit of adventure, you know, local. I love doing like local, going places that you don't normally go. And even if you're a local, and I think that that's really fun to do. But I think that certainly deciding like, hey, let's make a TikTok video and having it actually be a dead body inside was like, and then it would go viral. And I think that that's next level kind of stuff. I mean, even like, what was that thing with Geraldo Rivera where he was digging the, remember when he was like trying to get that treasure that was like somewhere off? Did you miss that story?
No, it was Al Capone's vault.
Okay, right. So like,
it's the first time I was in the Pacific Northwest. My grandparents were living outside of Tacoma. And that's the only thing I remember from that trip. Like I was a kid and it was like, live on TV, Geraldo Rivera will finally reveal the treasures in Al Capone's vault. And we were like glued to it. And he found an empty beer bottle. Like that was it.
Where was the vault? I don't even remember that.
It was somewhere in Chicago. It was somewhere in Chicago.
Okay, right. So in this case, like they didn't actually think, and then all of a sudden it was.
Yeah, like we always think that it's something crazy. I remember when I was a kid, we'd take all these road trips. Like we're in Jersey. My dad's parents lived up in New England. My mom's parents lived down in Virginia. Okay. And so we were constantly road tripping between the two. Right. And so we'd have, you know, a family of four, we'd have a big black lab. And so a lot of our luggage was always tied to the roof. And on one trip, a suitcase just fell off. Right. And we thought we were never going to see it again. And like 2 weeks later, we get a call and police and we found it. And there was these nice young college kids who like returned it. And they were like, we see the suitcase and we're like, maybe it's full of money. And one guy's like, maybe there's a body in it. We're in Jersey. It's probably a mob body or whatever. Right. And that's always where our minds go. Right. It's either some rich stuff or some awful, awful stuff. Speaking of geocaching, when we did the podcast X Marks the Spot, we had an idea, that for each episode, there was going to be a mini treasure hunt that had some kind of, you know, like geotag where you had to go to like some city and stand on the street corner and blah, whatever. But then legal wouldn't let us because it's, you know, we're telling people to go outside and someone would get hit by a fucking car and sue us. So,
didn't that happen in that story too, where people were looking for the treasure and they like bombed off the side of the river or whatever? And like,
unfortunately, it did lead to about 5 deaths. Yeah. So But so we didn't do it. But it would have been a lot of fun. But so all right. Something that you mentioned early that I thought was going to play a bigger role later that wound up not was you made a specific point to mention that both the
Chicken feathers.
The animal, you said animal feathers. You didn't say chicken feathers. You said animal feathers.
Yeah,
And
I think that it didn't say, I assumed that it was the chicken feathers and because he had chickens and stuff, but it never said that it was chicken feathers. So I thought, I am planting this flag here, but I do think that when you talked about the interview, I kind of vacillated on how much space to give this guy. Cause you don't want to get, but I felt like it's always so interesting to hear, knowing how he thinks and knowing that, he did it. I mean, I think it was pretty obvious that he did it, and just kind of like what he's saying as he's saying. I find that really interesting,
What I found interesting about the interrogation, which we'll delve more into later, or just the facts surrounding the case, was that he just left the body under a pile of clothes for days. It was really, really weird. Really, really. But anyway, okay.
That's the thing about listening to his process and how he's thinking. It's like, what's going on here with this dude?
It was really strange. It was really, really strange. So, all right. So it was Jessica and Austin, the victims. Okay. And they weren't having an easy go of it, right? They were up and down. Okay. And one of the things that I thought was, again, the darkness of my personality, that I thought was going to be much more prevalent with the rise of Uber and Airbnb was that it was going to play right into the hands of a lot of fucking murderers. Okay. Like that's what I was afraid of. Like we're told when kids don't get into strangers' cars, and that's all that we do now. Is just get into complete strangers' cars like it's no fucking big deal, and they're going to drive you where you want for $7 and that you're safe. Okay. Same thing with Airbnb. Like we're going into someone's private space that we know nothing about.
And when I heard that in the interview, I didn't realize that that's what he was trying to do, is to create this Uber situation.
Right.
And I was like, wow, how terrifying. Because where his house is right by Seattle International Airport, like probably like 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so how convenient. Like, oh, it's just right here. I'm going to take an Uber and I'm going to just stay.
In an Airbnb, right.
In an Airbnb in the Blue Room. And it's like, oh my gosh, this guy just did not have the personality to have going anywhere near.
Like if you're like, sight unseen, if you just see pictures of it, right? But then you get there and it's a huge gate and it's a acre property in the fucking woods and it's a long driveway, I wouldn't get out of the car. I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna go find some shitty hotel on the SeaTac Strip. I'd rather stay there.
Exactly. Yes. And I find that, like, had he not done this to his tenants, who knows if he would have had this successful business, if he would have been murdering other people, given his personality and this idea of like not letting people leave. Like, that is so terrifying when you have somebody in your life who's like, go, and then you try to leave.
They won't let you.
Can't leave. Yeah. They won't let you.
So it wasn't a traditional Airbnb. Like, I doubt that this guy had like a linen closet with a bunch of little shampoos and shit and like fresh sheets and like, no, he wanted long-term tenants. Right. It wasn't right. And then he had some strange kink where he didn't want people to fucking leave. And he had like random chickens and 16 cars and shit. Like, you can picture what the property was like. Yeah.
I think that when I listened to the interview, as I was trying to understand who this person was and what their motivations were, and I feel like the aunt or the mom had done an interview and said that he was a predator, but he kind of convinced himself that he was like this knight in shining armor where he was actually saving people,
right, but altruist.
It was this predator behavior of like getting people to his home and then making them captive by either, having all these extra cars for people to drive because they're struggling.
That were all tagged, by the way. So he knew where they were at all times. That's a
know.
little weird. But also, that's a good point that I didn't really think of, because if he could get people living there to feel like beholden to him, like you didn't have all of the rent, so you're going to do some work around the yard, right? Well, you're not really paid up yet, and another month has gone by, so now you owe me more money, so you got to stay and work more and all that. Like that's almost like indentured kind of servitude, you know?
Right. Like he was the king of this really like demented castle, and he wanted to hold all the cards. And like he even said, I think something really telling about his personality, and I don't think I put this in there, was that the cops were like, well, why didn't you come forward? He's like, well, I was waiting for you guys to come. And they're like, well, why were you waiting for us? Like, yeah, I was waiting for you guys to do your jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that weird mentality of like blaming everybody else for like, then he was trying to.
Even though the cops showed up that night.
They did.
They were doing their jobs. He didn't answer.
They were doing their jobs. But like when they didn't come interview him right away, and in the couple of months that went by before they did, you know, he was like, instead of being like accountable for like, well, I was scared, you know, I didn't really know what to say. He's like, well, wait a second, where were you guys? You guys, and whenever I see cop shows, you know, the detectives always come right away. What, you know, pushing that blame off on them. And I'm sure he probably exhibited this behavior with his tenants, where it's like, you know, total manipulation loop of like, this is your fault.
Right. Playing the victim. Sure. That's powerful. It's very, very powerful. I didn't do it. You did it. It's your fault. You didn't pay me rent. I have bills to pay. Right. Yeah. So shifting gears a little bit here, part of the episode that I really liked, that I always want more of from you, and you never give it to me, but whatever. The forensic stuff, right? How the forensic investigator determined where the murder happened, that it was inside, that it was more than one person, which also wasn't ever really addressed later on. That forensically, it looked like all the cuts were disorganized, and different blades were used that would you know, tell a person that it wasn't just one dude cutting up the body, that he had help. But
yeah, I mean, you make really good points. I think that the forensics, because he had 2 months and 2 days to clean up at whatever he did, that they didn't really find a lot. They found those bullet holes and the spikes and things like that, and then just a smudge of Austin's blood. But they believe that the murders took place in the Blue Room, but they don't have any forensic evidence to say absolutely.
All the forensic pointed to was that it happened inside, because there was no insect activity, which would have happened if the bodies were outside.
Right. And then obviously the eyewitness testimony was incredibly powerful of her seeing a man's body underneath a pile of clothes.
We'll get to Jennifer in a second. I love Jennifer.
Well, and then the cadaver dogs alerting. So
down in the basement, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, like for example, with the Black Dahlia, that they ran into that problem too, where it's like, if you don't know exactly where the crime takes place, and the forensics are gone by the time you get there, you know, I don't think that this is one of those cases. Well, I know it wasn't one of those cases where it's like, you go into the room and you spray luminol, and then you can see the drag marks, you can see everything. Like this case did not have that, you know?
So 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And just giving short answers. Okay.
Botsy.
Do you think Dudley acted alone?
You know, I don't know. And to your point, they said that even though they thought.
This is a long answer. Short answer. Short. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Wait. But I'm answering your other question, because I think you're right that I didn't give an explanation for that. So I want to do that. I want to redeem myself here and say that they basically like surmise that they thought based on those cuts and stuff, but that nobody else was ever charged. Okay. So like, who knows?
Right. And so I think that he didn't act alone. I think he had help, but I don't know who the help would be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. But all right, second question. And not to speak ill of the dead, but do you think Austin was a crook?
You know, I think that this is one of those cases where you really have to be careful, because I think that there were a lot of allegations being tossed around, and it doesn't really matter if he was or he wasn't, because he didn't deserve to die. And Jessica, neither of them did. And so, I mean, it was the pandemic, a lot of people were struggling. And, I don't even really feel like, I think that where it's relevant here is that I think that delayed the investigation because of these guys that were after them because of some alleged check fraud or something going.
Right. Like, so the question, a larger question is, do you believe all that? Do you believe that there was a bullet with his name on it left in the mailbox?
Oh, I absolutely do.
Okay.
I think that there was. I think that diluted the Michael being the original suspect because they had to run down all that, and that would have made more sense, wouldn't it have? If they went and ripped off this guy and, I think that would have made more sense than
right. Or like COVID relief fraud that he was supposed to share with somebody and didn't, or whatever. So
and his family said that he brought that up.
Yeah.
That he was afraid of that.
Yeah. But just when Dudley said, like, it's weird. I try to, when someone's, or when you think someone's lying in an investigation, there might be some kernels of truth, right? That they put out there,
Those are the best lies when there's some
right.
truth.
So like when he said that Austin was the kind of guy who would rather steal stuff than get a job, right? Like, we know people like that. Maybe you don't. I know people like that, And if anybody would know someone like that, it's someone like Michael, right? Who operates a fucking creepy Airbnb and owns 16 cars that he buys from auction. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is with this guy? Right. Yeah. Like, so, and then to offer a room to a woman like Jennifer, who I love. I think Jennifer's great and brave and delightfully fucking wacky and really aware of herself. When she talks about how smart she is, but then she says, what did she say? She said, I make dumb decisions, but I'm not a dumb person. I'm like, whoa, that self-awareness is great.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hello, Nigel here. I couldn't help noticing that you're still awake. Now, I'm an owl. I'm supposed to be up at night, but you need your sleep. So if it's your allergy symptoms that are keeping you up, here's a word to the wise. Try Zysol. You see, Zysol works fast to relieve sneezing, runny nose, itchy watery eyes, and itchy nose and throat. And it keeps going strong for 24 hours, so you can get your sleep and wake up refreshed and ready for a productive day ahead. Be wise, all. Take Zysol at night. Use as directed. Starts working in 45 minutes.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
It is, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, and I think that she probably would have come forward sooner had she not been, having some struggles in her own life. And then once you go back, it's like, well, why did you go back? You knew that somebody had been killed. You saw, why did you go back? And she's like,
why? Right?
What do you mean? I would have been like,
of course, but she makes dumb decisions. Like she says,
exactly.
That's
And
her operating principle.
People are so often judged by that. And it's like,
rightfully so, I guess, right?
Well, I think that
judged by our actions, not by our intentions.
Okay, we're judged by our actions, but people make mistakes. And I know that my cousin, my beloved cousin, who let me just tell you, he would call me Carolina Bean. And that's like, oh gosh, he was like 2 years older than me. And I just love my cousin. I know. I was the youngest of the 4 cousins. And it was like, yeah. So, it gets me every time. I loved this kid. I loved him so much. And he ended up getting into drugs. and it ruined his life. And he ultimately took his own life because by the time he turned his life around, he was going to have to go to jail for something that he done. I think it was some theft or something. And he didn't want to go to jail, and he took his own life. And it's tragic. But my
sorry.
point, huh?
Very sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. The reason why I bring this up is because I feel like people do make mistakes, but there is redemption, and if they can get out of it, and it's like where these people were on their journey towards getting out of it. I mean, Austin and Jessica's loved ones loved them. The agony that they, probably went through, and then they probably didn't report them missing because, they knew
the lifestyle.
Yeah. So I think that, it's like they did not deserve this wherever they were on their journey.
No. Forgive me if you thought I made any implication to maybe hint at that they did deserve it. Not at all.
Oh, no, I don't think that you thought that they deserved it.
But what I'm saying is that, yes, people make dumb decisions. You're looking at a guy who's made more than my share of awful, awful decisions. And the difference is not the difference. I'm sorry. What's consistent about these dumb mistakes and decisions that you make is that there's consequences for them. And you can only run from them for so long. You could try to run from them forever. But in my experience, no one ever gets away with anything. Sooner or later, chickens come home to roost, right? And you just got to, I'm going to say every cliche that there is, but you got to fucking pay the piper, right? And sit there and, okay, yes, this is what happened. This is what I did. Do your worst. Lay it on me. Let's fucking go. Gotta get it. Put it in the past.
Right. But you have, I mean, it sounds like from what I know of you is that, you have a supportive family, and a lot of people
do now. Yeah, I do now. I didn't then.
Oh, they were like, we're done with you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. So, but look, some things you got to go through on your own. I fucked everything up on my own. Okay. So I took the first few steps to fix it on my own. And then little by little, people come back and like, okay, I'll tentatively trust you again for a little while. And then, and then it takes a lot of, you got to build those bridges again,
and that's the saddest thing here is that they didn't have the opportunity.
Nope, absolutely not.
Because of this Michael Dudley. And I guess the reason why I'm a little bit defensive about it is because I didn't even feel fair, like including him saying those things about them, because they're not here to defend themselves. And so when you play one side of that story, but then I thought, people are always going to see that this guy is just totally.
Oh, it started with these people in fucking bags in Puget Sound. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
The punishment does not fit whatever petty crimes that they had committed at all.
Yeah.
But Jennifer's recollection of events was horrifying and really clear and scary. Especially her saying like stuff. She would start speaking really quickly and get upset. Like, he knew where I was. He knew I was at this club last night. He knew I would do all this. Wouldn't let me leave. And the balls on her to say, hey, I went into the blue room. My bad. Holy
I was like, I didn't necessarily believe her. I'm not saying I didn't or did not believe her when she said the 165 IQ, because people who toss that out, like, it just is kind of like, are you compensating for something? Yeah. But when she said, I went down and she sussed the situation and was like, this is my move, that's 165 points on an IQ test right there, because she had that, she knew what she was dealing with, and it worked out for her, thankfully,
So I have a different view of that. I'm confused by that whole thing. I'm confused by this whole section. I'm confused as to why this guy left one of the bodies in the bedroom under a pile of clothes. Like, is he a fucking moron? Is he like, I don't know. Was he guilt-ridden and he couldn't face what he had done? Like, I'm not sure why the body would stay in there, to the point after he invited someone else into the house and didn't secure the room. Okay. So it seems to me like he really didn't care. Okay. And so Jennifer goes in there. She sees all of this shit. I mean, She, in my opinion, she could have said anything and he would have reacted the same way. It's not, I don't think that she found the one right way to go, like make it funny. And he's like, oh, all right, you're cool. I'm cool now that you know I kill people. Go borrow my truck. Right.
That you don't have that she has is context. She spent enough time with him
Yeah.
to know, and we don't, because to us, I was like, what's happening here? I'm
still feeling that. Yeah.
What is this world that we're living in? It's so like off the rails, because normally you'd be like, hey, I don't think I want you to stay tonight. Like she shouldn't have even been let into that door. And yet he's, I mean, it's just not making sense. But she'd spent enough time with him. And that's why I think that she knew him and she knew what might work. And people like, I mean, she even said in the interview, like this boy tells me all these things. I think people do have those types of personalities where people just, even if they've killed someone, like he was looking for an ally. Who the hell knows? I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
I think that I don't know. I don't have any really strong convictions either way, but of all like the 10 different scenarios, the one that I would give maybe 15% likelihood to was that he knew he was fucked and it was just a matter of time. And the biggest piece of evidence to support that was that he fell asleep waiting for the detective in the interrogation room. And you'll hear a lot of seasoned detectives say that the guilty people always fall asleep because they're like, all right, they're caught. I'm not worrying about this anymore. I haven't been sleeping well because I've got all of this on my conscience. And so now when you're in the fucking lockup, right, you fall asleep.
He wasn't in the lockup. He's sitting in a chair in the interrogation room. Absolutely. But I don't think I think he thought he was going to get away with it because they never came. And I think that it was just a laziness, honestly, like, and like an ultimate, like weird power tripper, because like in one of the interviews that I saw with the aunt, she said that he left the dog that he'd killed lying in the yard, just as a way to like intimidate people. And I feel like he did the same thing, and it's different. Obviously, it's two human beings, so I don't want to equate. No,
of course, I see what you're saying, but his behavior seemed consistent. See, I think that Dudley was kind of a smart guy, okay, and I think that maybe for a moment, the night that it happened, when he didn't answer the police, maybe he thought he was going to get away with it. Obviously, he wanted to get away with it because he cut the bodies up and he put them in bags and put them in the water. Okay. But then when they were found the next fucking day, like that morning, according to the cell phone ping, the night before, 12 hours later, they're found. He's like, oh shit, I'm cooked. So I think from that moment, he's watching it on the news every day, right? That he was just counting down the time till the knock on the door. I think he knew. I think he knew it was coming.
Yeah, I just think that I think it was disorganized from the start. And I think
sure, I agree with that. Yes.
But like, I mean, why would you leave it in your, it doesn't make sense. Like if you wanted to get away with it, why would you do this other strange behavior? I mean, I think that he has, there's just so many issues going on with this guy that we'll never know. And I don't even think we want to,
Yeah, I agree. All the shit with his daughter, I don't even want to talk about.
No.
And so he gets convicted.
Mm-hmm.
2nd-degree murder. 2 counts.
46 years.
46. So he's going to die in jail.
Yeah.
Okay. No appeals, no nothing.
Oh, no, he's going to try to appeal it.
He is. Oh, that's right. That was the last thing you said, that he plans on appealing. But the jury was out for what? A day?
A day and a half.
Yeah. So it's okay.
Yeah.
And so the big question is, why did he do it?
When I was actually watched the interrogation video and watched his body language, once he started getting mad, you could see him change. Like he was just getting like this, and just his voice was raised. And I think that the affidavit with his daughter, where she said that he would wave around the gun and like threaten, and I think that if you push someone like that, or he allows himself to be pushed, I think he just, I don't want to say he snapped, because I think he snapped long ago. And
right.
I think that he just wanted to do it because the guy in the night, I mean, it's, for me, the most chilling part, and in terms of before it happened was like, just let me go.
Oh my gosh, just let me
leave.
Just let me leave. Just let me leave. After he's probably shot, because there was a gunshot already. Maybe that was the gunshot that killed Jessica, right? And then he's like, just let me leave. Just let me leave. Just let me leave. And he doesn't. And so my thing is, the question is more specific as to like why that night. It's either something that we don't know that led to it, or was he just finally so afraid of these bad guys that we're going to come get these two grifter, forgive me for calling them grifters, but these people that were caught up in some bad shit, where people coming over and beating him up, and he's like, it's too much, and he figured his only way out was to kill him, I guess. But that's where it falls apart.
No, I mean, he could have kicked him out at any time. He's okay calling the police because he thought that the woman had killed his chicken, and so he called 911 for his chicken. I mean, talk about like, oh, wait a second, a chicken is more valuable than a human being's life.
Right.
I think that he didn't want them to leave, because if he wanted them to leave, all he had to do was call the police, and they would have, I mean,
there's Airbnb contracts. Yeah, if it was So now that gets into a really different, weird kind of obsessive kind of place.
That's what I'm saying. I think
you're not leaving because he needs people around or whatever. And then who the fuck knows? But the last thing here about this detective, this is the kind of detective that could break me in like a minute. Just his demeanor and how he was talking, and like casually dropping these facts that you have no fucking answer for. I would crumble. More so than like a good cop, bad cop kind of bullshit. Just this one dude, he was masterful. He was fucking great. He lost it a little bit in one weird spot where he's like, this person's mom said that you're the motherfucker who will have done something to him if something's happened. I went, ooh, reel it in. Reel it in, detective. You're going to lose him. Reel it in. But
well, I agree. And that was another interesting thing about the tactic, because we haven't heard that tactic yet in any of the interrogations that I feel like I've offered, where it's like, he was literally reeling him in, making him, and that was the thing about like the whole his health issue. And it was like, they were having conversations, for hours. And it was like, he acted like he was on his side, and he's like, of course this guy did it, know?
Yeah, absolutely. And he was getting like the real-time information. Like, what was the other one where there was real-time info? That crazy one. Oh my gosh. The Christmas murders. Remember that family?
Cabin
with the dipshit son and girlfriend.
They were actually at the crime scene.
Yes, they were at the crime scene. And the detectives kept coming out and going, are you fucking believing this shit? I got mine.
There was two of them. And that was what was interesting too, because the guy's demeanor changed once he was like, yeah, we talked to Renee. And he's like, oh, wait, you talked to, and you could just a sheet of sweat go on across his brow. And I was like, oh, yeah.
It was that real-time information. It's just, it's like water torture. Like it just what's next? Oh, the anticipation must have been destroying this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Knowing that cadaver dogs were at his house where he murdered. Oh.
Well, and then he would act like he didn't know what that was.
Yeah, what's your cadaver dog? What's decomp? Oh, really, dipshit? What's decomp?
I know.
Okay.
But again, it's like, that's a tactic.
Right.
Of course he knows what that is.
Yeah.
Oh, what are they saying about me? I mean, of course he knows
Who said that? Who's saying stuff about me?
I know.
I bet it's that bitch neighbor. He said that. You hear him all being all whiny?
I did. And there was so much that I didn't include with this neighbor and like what they were doing, and they were having signage issues. And it's like, if you're going to kill people, you should probably like not be battling with your neighbor, because they're going to be there with their scopes. Looking at, they're going to be blocking everything going on at your house. And so I feel like he was either so arrogant that he thought he could do anything that he wanted, that this was his property, and that he was going to do what he wanted. And I definitely think that the issues with not wanting people to leave and keeping them kind of hostage to him, whether it's financial or just him being like, thinking he was going to be the savior, and he was just ultimately a complete predator. Yeah. And the Airbnb thing was a way for him to lure people in, and especially people who were, you know, struggling with issues, you know?
Wow. All right. Well, great job. Interesting. It's always, there's a lot of interesting motherfuckers up in Seattle. I'll tell you what, that do a lot of crazy shit, but get out there in the sunshine, and enjoy your time, because the weather's not going to last. Great episode. What do you got for us next week?
Well, next week, well, I can tell you what I'm working on. I'm actually working on, one of the episodes I'm working on is the Jack the Ripper.
Yes.
And another one that I thought, and I haven't really done much, but I've been thinking about your high school chum,
Colin Abbott.
Wouldn't that be, what are your thoughts on me? Like,
Yeah, go for it. I might be able to get some interview people for you who spend time with them. Yeah, let me know if you want to do it.
Well, I sent a public disclosure request this morning to I guess it's in Pittsburgh. Like where
really?
it happened. Yeah, it happened in Slippery Rock.
Yeah, that's great.
That's where they live. And then it said Rockport, New Jersey. Is that where you're from?
Well, it's near. It's not exactly where we grew up, but I think that's probably where he moved to after high school or something.
Well, it sounds like, because when you described it to me, I was like, wait a second, like how, because I was listening to the bonus episode on my jog and I was like, okay, wait a second. How would that cop know to call the police and to see if there was an accident report? It's not like you can just say, oh, they were in an accident and that's it. There's going to be nothing left.
But that's what he thought.
I mean, that was what kind of, I pulled that string because I was like, I need to know what's going on. But apparently it's a little bit from just a little tiny bit of research I did. It sounds like it's going to be pretty crazy because the mom is trying to write a book, or was trying to write a book about it. His mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's for me, it's like, it's the fire pit in his backyard where he burned them. That's.
Yeah. Because I wasn't sure when you said, I'm like, did he put them back in a car and then pretend?
No.
Like they were, yeah.
He just said there was a car. They died in a car accident in South Jersey,
so we'll
on the Philly border.
Save it, and I would love to talk to any of your folks if there's somebody that wants to talk, because I think it'll be interesting and it's your neck of the woods. So
yeah, that'd be great. All right, well, looking forward to that. So for now, Murder Chronicles Nation, we're going to be signing off. Carolyn, there is a chance that sometime in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have to take a week off because of vacation and then like kids' birthdays and stuff. Maybe not. I might be able to, because one of those weeks I'm going to be way up in the mountains without any Wi-Fi. Maybe we could do some earlier work and schedule it, but there's a chance we might be dark for a week coming up, Nation, and I apologize for that.
Well, we'll just slap on some bonus episode material because we have a bunch of in our catalog, and I think that's great. Spend time with your family.
We will figure something out. In the meantime, please consider supporting the great companies that support our show. Carolyn, anything you'd like to add?
Until next time, Murder Chronicles Nation.
Yes. Stay safe out there, everybody. Thanks for joining us.